Welcome all. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Bharati Vidyapit family and BVIMSR, I, Dr. Uma Durgude, extend a warm welcome to our dignitary, Mr. Zainal Azlan Mohammad Nazir, Consulate General of Malaysia in Mumbai, our Regional Director, Vilas Rao Kadam, Director BVMSR, Dr. Anjali Kalse, and to all the participants and faculty members attending this international symposium on trade, commerce, bilateral relations, and opportunities between India and Malaysia. I hope that you all are safe and sound, and we pray that this coming new year will bring hope and joy to our world. Friends, in the coming days, we'll definitely witness a surge in global business and trade as the world limps back to normalcy. The existing business paradigms are being redefined post COVID 19, and new trade alliances will have to cope up with new paradigms. India, which is fast emerging as an economic powerhouse, understands that it means to strengthen its business association and trade with other countries, thus stimulating and contributing to world trade. India Malaysia have traditionally been close and friendly. One of the countries with which India has had sound bilateral trade and cultural ties is the Malaysia. Malaysia is one of the prominent leaders of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, together with Singapore, Indonesia, and Thailand. All four countries enjoy multifaceted ties with India. Though of late there has been some teething problems between the two nations, the Malaysian government has been notably consistent in according priority to deepen economic, political, security, and defense cooperation with India. Formally, the two nations have an enhanced strategic partnership. India views its ties with Malaysia as a core element of its Act East policy. Both nations share a strong commitment to multiculturalism, democracy, pluralism, and inclusive development. On the diplomatic side, India and Malaysia work together to uphold the freedom of navigation and overflights in South China Sea and elsewhere, and to adhere to the UN Conference on the Law of the Sea. They also display a resolute will to counter terrorism and radicalization. In fact, India admires the Malaysian model of moderate Islam and the success of its de radicalization program. The two governments want it to reach the level of $15 billion in the immediate future. Investment quantum looks healthy. Malaysian investments in India valued at $7 billion surpassed Indian investments in Malaysia, standing at $2.5 billion by large margin. Malaysian companies have been a force to reckon with, particularly in the infrastructure sector. According to official calculations, Malaysian companies have completed 53 highway and road projects in India so far. The CU Forum, held during former PM Najib's visit, underlined the need for fresh investment flows both ways, identifying the knowledge deficit on the opportunities available as a challenge to be addressed. Infrastructure, healthcare, education, SME, civil aviation, and tourism were considered as key sectors for further cooperation. While Indian companies are exploring new possibilities in the railways and water treatment sectors, Malaysian corporates can certainly contribute more to road construction, power generation, airport, and port development. The people to people aspect of the relationship is also significant. A nation of 28 million, Malaysia is home to 2 million strong as the highest share of Indian diaspora in an East Asian country. 85% of Malaysian Indians are of Tamil origin. This is a country where Indian cultural products are quite popular. Many in India's strategic community hold the view that Malaysia, together with the other big three of Asia, needs to work towards increasing its unity and solidarity. This alone will make Asians' claim to centrality, its pivotal, even leading role in East Asia credible. This centrality has been under much stress in recent years from China's policies and actions. It is India's interest to strengthen ASEAN as a robust and active actor in Asian affairs. This strategic calculus provides a powerful rationale for the two countries to further enhance their mutual cooperation. We are certain that India-Malaysia bilateral relations are growing strong and will continue to flourish due to active engagements in various aspects such as defense, economic, political, cultural, and people-to-people exchanges. This symposium will deliberate on trade and business opportunities between India and Malaysia. Our speaker, who is closely working for the Malaysian Consulate in propagating trade and commerce between the two nations, can give valuable insights to the challenges and business opportunities between these two emerging economies. Before we move further, let me acquaint you all to the flow of the symposium. We begin with the inaugural address delivered by Dr. Anjali Kalse, Director BVMSR, which will be followed by introduction of our eminent speaker from Malaysia. After his presentation, we will have a Q&A session. Participants can pose their questions in the chat box, which will be taken care by the moderator. The symposium will culminate with a vote of thanks. Certificates will be issued to all the participants who will attend and fill the feedback form. I now invite our director, Dr. Anjali Kalse, to inaugurate this session by her speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Uma, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Uma madam. Very good morning and warm welcome to the dignitaries, faculty members, international guests. Once again, warm welcome to all of you for the International Symposium on Commerce, Bilateral Research, Navi Mumbai. It's a right time to share about Bharati Vidyapeeth so that our guests will know about Bharati Vidyapeeth. Bharati Vidyapeeth is a prestigious name in education sector in India, having 170 plus, I would say, institute under its umbrella, ranging from school to post-graduation level. Bharati Vidyapeeth is quite instrumental in having collaborations with foreign universities. Recently, our institute, BVMSR Navi Mumbai, did MOU with Uzbekistan, and our MOU with USA is in process. When it comes to India and Malaysia, we definitely can hope for a better future, although in between there are certain ups and downs, but yes, we are positive enough that there is a great future lies ahead. As we all know, India and Malaysia are connected by a very old cultural and historical ties. The two countries are very much friendly, I would say, in relation, as Malaysia is home to a strong concentration of Indian immigrants, and the Honorable Mr. Mahathir Mohamad, the fourth and the longest serving Prime Minister of Malaysia, has Indian ancestry. So if we have to look for a good bilateral relationship and want to work on a trade, there is much. If we just focus on the past facts, we will get to know that a lot of effort is being put from both the sides. If we look at the trade specifically, if we go back to trade and have look in 2017, India and Malaysia signed a new business deal amounting to 36 billion US dollar with the exchange of 31 business MOUs. That is huge and the largest in the history of economic relationships between the two countries. There is also a Malaysia and India Business Council, and this all indicates that there is huge opportunity lies. And not only that, there is a formal structure is being set up to propel in the direction. So I think we have to be instrumental in capitalizing all this, whatever is provided by both the governments. And here now in this particular year, wherein our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, is quite instrumental, is having good relationship with the neighbors. And Malaysia have always been at the core of India's interest in its East policy, its attempt to fortify the Association of Southeast Asian Nation and Coalition. So the trade, further, I would say the trade and anti-terror platforms, which brought together this country closer with our Prime Minister Modi, enjoys that good rapport and is continuously working and is instrumental to have close bond with Malaysia. One more interesting fact between India and Malaysia is India is world's largest buyer of edible oils, while Malaysia is the world's second large exporter of palm oil, which itself makes a significant quantity of country's export. So just look at the how far it can go and what is the scope. So I think these things will definitely considered from both ends. I will say now it is being considered. In fact, the trade, commerce, and the bilateral relationship, India is very keen, and our government is always instrumental for going in the direction. The other sector which I would like to urge at this juncture is the education sector. If you look back the education sector, we'll come to know that if you go back to 1970, 60 and 70, you will find that 30,000 Malaysian students have studied in Indian institutions, with over 30% of doctors in Malaysia today having been educated in India. So just see that, from the past also, we can see that, yes, there is huge scope and opportunity, and we've tried it in 70s. So why not, hereafter from 2000? So my urge to these dignitaries that, they should help us in having such collaboration with the educational institute. The Indian government also provides scholarship to Malaysian students. Due to many Malaysian medical students need to pursue their education in India, and in past, it is proved that yes, such kind of collaborations are quite good and fruitful. Recently, the Manipal Global Education Group agreed to set up their campuses in Malaysia. So all these things are showing that India is quite keen with respect to Malaysia to open up this sector, to open up, as we have seen that the trade we are very keen, but for the education also we are very keen to collaborate. As we in the economic development of any country, India, since the early days of independence, has always focused on improving literacy rate. in our country. And yes, it is growing. Even today, the government runs many programs from, you can say, from primary to the higher education in India, and that too very focused program. And as we believe in the philosophy that, if we strongly educate the Indian youth, the Indian generation, that will definitely make them a global citizen. And I think this is the demand of the time. This is the need for the hour. So we want to, we want to partner with Malaysia as far as education is concerned. And I stressed on this partnership. Now the Malaysian universities, because what we feel is that along with these two universities from the two countries, if we can collaborate on education front, we can create a vibrant learning environment to groom the future generation of leaders in Malaysia, India, as a context to Asia and to the world. So this is the sector which I think we should focus very strongly. This is my urge to the dignitaries sitting out there in the symposium. So today, I think, in addition to the trade, commerce, we all are eager to know more about what kind of opportunities we will get with respect to the collaborative effort which we are putting from our side in the education sector. We all know the Malaysian institute which are offering MBAs are University Kebangsaan Malaysia, I think very prestigious university. So what kind of certifications are available, how we can collaborate with such institute, what are the guiding points so that we can update on that guiding points with respect to our institute, and how we can go ahead. That is what I feel is the important point, other than the trade and bilateral relation for the BVI-MSR. So I think in my, I say that there are opportunities between the two countries, and only thing is that we should be enthusiastic enough, and our effort should be in that right direction with a proper guidance. And I hope we will get the proper guidance from these authorities. And from the government side, our government is also very keen to develop a rapport between the two nations. And with this note, wherein although we've seen many ups and downs in our relationship, but this we are quite positive, and with this positivity, definitely we will work towards the strengthening of relationship between Malaysia and India. And yes, definitely we have to work on our education sector, and definitely there will be effort we will put from our side, and we seek guidance from the government of Malaysia in this regard. So at this note, I declare this symposium is inaugurated, and I wish all the best for this very useful symposium today. So thank you very much. Stay safe, stay healthy, and once again, wish you all the best and warm welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Anjali madam.
Thank you, Dr. Anjali, for giving us an overview of Bharati Vidyapeeth, and also stressing on the fact that apart from trade and commerce, we need to forge alliances in the education sector, because education is pivotal for the economic development of any nation. And I think with the good offices of Mr. Zainal, he'll be able to help us in forging such alliances with top Malaysian universities. So thank you, Dr. Anjali, once again. And I welcome all of you on behalf of Bharati Vidyapeeth. And now it is my privilege to introduce Mr. Zainal Azlan Muhammad Nazir, Counsel General, Consulate General of Malaysia, Mumbai. About his academic qualification, he is a BSc from University of Technology, Malaysia, MBA from University of Multimedia, Malaysia. He has diploma in public management and National Institute of Public Administration. 2003 till date are, in 2003, he was appointed to the Administrative and Diplomatic Service of Malaysia and attached to the University of Foreign Affairs. In 2003 itself, he was Assistant Secretary, West Asia Division, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In 2007, he was Second Secretary, Embassy of Malaysia in Beirut, Lebanon. In 2011, he was Counselor, Embassy of Malaysia in Bern, Switzerland. 2015, he was Principal Assistant Secretary, OIC and Regional Cooperation Division, Minister of Foreign Affairs. In 2016, he was Principal Assistant Secretary, Protocol Department, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. From 2017 to present, he is Consul General of Malaysia, Consulate General of Malaysia in Mumbai, India. So we have a very illustrious personality who is going to deliberate on trade relations between Malaysia and India. And once again, on behalf of Bharati Vidyapeeth, I welcome Zainul sir, and I request him to take over and start off with the deliberations. Thank you very much.
Salam sejahtera, namaskar, and a very good afternoon to all the dignitaries and all the members of this session. It gives me great pleasure to be here. First and the organizer, the Bharati Vidyapeeth Institute of Management Studies and Research based in Navi, Mumbai, for inviting me to this web symposium. It's a pity that we, are not able to meet face to face due to the ongoing outbreak of this COVID-19 pandemic. Personally, that would have been actually my preferred means of interaction. Nevertheless, I believe that we shouldn't let this pandemic to prevent us from having any interaction that might prove beneficial. In this regard, we should acclimate ourselves to this new normal, online interaction, digital technology. It is my honor to be able to use this platform to impart and share with you various aspects of Malaysia-India bilateral relations and cooperation. Dr. Anjali just now gave a very good overview of the two countries' bilateral relations, so I would love to spend some more on that, and I hope also to receive your views on how we can further enhance the bilateral cooperation between the two countries for our own mutual benefits. First of all, allow me to give some introduction about Malaysia, because probably there are our guests or our participants of this session who are still not getting a clear picture about Malaysia. Well, Malaysia is an amalgamation of three major races, namely the Malays, Chinese, and Indians, as well as a myriad of ethnic groups from Malaysian Borneo, that is from Sabah and Sarawak, our two states in the Malaysian Borneo. I would like to touch something about the presence of the Indian community in Malaysia, which represents a substantive amount of Malaysian population. That is around 7% of our population, our total population. Most are descendants of those migrated from India to Malaysia. Most of these are the descendants of those migrated from India during the British colonization of the country, which we can say second wave of migration of the Indian community. I'd just like to give you some brief history about the relations, deep-rooted relations between the two countries and the people-to-people context. If you look at the history, ancient India exerted a profound influence of Southeast Asia, including Malaysia. This is made through trade, religious missions, and other forms of contact. The first wave of migration from South Asia towards Southeast Asia during the pre-colonial Malaysia took place many centuries ago. In fact, there is evidence of the existence of Indianized kingdoms in a small part of Malaysia around 1700 years ago. In terms of overseas Indians, Malaysian Indians form the 5th largest community all over the world. That is substantive amount actually. Well, have you heard of our tagline, Malaysia Truly Asia? That is actually an apt tagline that reflects the social fabric of the country. If you have ever been to Malaysia, you could clearly see the cultural diversity from its festival and celebrations to its food and cuisine. The diversity which is present in our colorful culture is what makes Malaysia unique. So we always embrace this motto of unity in diversity as we embrace this diversity. Now, let me give you some overview about the bilateral relations between the two countries. Malaysia and India have always enjoyed warm and friendly relations since our independence. We have shared close ties, especially, like I said just now, among the peoples of the two countries going back many centuries. Due to the fact that, due to the large presence of this large Indian diaspora, many of our traditions and cultures have been infused together. Well, over the years, many exchanges of high-level visits took place, owing to the continuous efforts by our leaders. Exchange of visits between both prime ministers happened in 2015, 2017, and as recent as in 2018. Both countries are members of NAM, Non-Aligned Movement, G15, Commonwealth of Nations, and many other international organizations. Many initiatives have been carried out to allow closer people-to-people contacts, such as the Visa Waiver Program. Prior to the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, there was a special program to facilitate the entrance of Indian nationals into Malaysia through an online registration called Electronic Travel Registration and Information, or ENTRI. Besides, flight connectivity has been increased over the years. Apart from the Indian airline Indigo, Malaysia Airlines, AirAsia, and Malindo were all having daily direct flights to India. Altogether, there were 238 direct weekly flights connecting the two countries with over 45,000 seats per week. This augur well for the increase and closer cooperation between the peoples of the two countries, including the business community. Well, let's hope the pandemic can be overcome in the near future so that our people-to-people contacts can be revived. Now, since our focus is on the Trade and Investment Cooperation, I think it's only valid for me to give some brief description about our economic policy. Malaysia has always been a pro-business trading nation with liberal economic policies. We remain a competitive economy with an emphasis on stronger economic cooperation with friendly countries. We always believe in cooperation based on mutual respect for mutual benefits. Let me touch briefly on the current economic situation in Malaysia so that you have an idea about our economic situation. Well, due to this pandemic, our economic growth is forecast to contract by 3.5%. This is, of course, largely due to the major contraction of GDP in the second quarter of the year, whereby we had this movement control order that would certainly affect our economic activities. However, the Malaysian government has taken many initiatives to address this issue and to stimulate the economy, including to increase private consumption. In mitigating the economic impact, the government has announced a stimulus package and various series of steps to address this issue. So coupled with comprehensive plan and excellent track record in macroeconomic and microeconomic management, Malaysia's economy is expected to revitalize and reach its pre-COVID-19 level as soon as early next year. Now I would touch, or rather I would give some more information about the cooperation on trade and investment between the two countries. The economic dimension in the Malaysia-India relation is undoubtedly of considerable significance. India has always been an important trading partner for Malaysia and vice versa. Based on 2019 figures, India was 10th largest trading partner, the biggest in South Asia. Meanwhile, Malaysia was India's 13th largest trading partner. Over the last decade, bilateral trade has increased by more than fourfold. This great achievement can be attributed to the bilateral trade agreement signed between the two countries, that is the Malaysia-India Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement, or MICECA, which was signed in 2011. In 2019, our bilateral trade was recorded at 14.92 billion US dollar. This, however, was a decrease of 1.6% from 15.57 billion US dollar in 2018. Amazingly, the target that was set by both leaders in achieving $15 billion of trade figures by 2020 has been achieved 2 years earlier. That was in 2018. The latest trade figures for the first 8 months of this year saw our bilateral trade amounted to 8.03 billion, a decrease of 19.9% compared to the same period last year, which is not surprising due to this outbreak of the pandemic. For your information, among the top Malaysian products exported to India are crude petroleum, palm oil, manufacturers of metal, and electrical and electronic products. Meanwhile, the top Indian export items to Malaysia are refined petroleum, manufacturers of metal, and chemicals and chemical products. When we talk about opportunities, of course, there is a lot of opportunities lie ahead. The resumption of economic activities present great opportunities for both countries to enhance trade relations. Business community from the two countries should take advantage of the bilateral trade agreement, MICECA, by sourcing from each other in order to gain cost advantage. There are, other than the top Malaysian products being exported to India, there are some other potential sectors to be sourced from Malaysia. They are oil and gas, for example, the waste heat recovery unit, drilling equipment, all the engineering part of the services, oil and gas services industry, the furniture, rubber-based products, green technology, construction, design and engineering, as well as aviation and maintenance, repair and overhaul, MRO, which include the engineering and design services, avionics and system integration. Now, talking about investment, companies from both countries have some substantial investments in each other's countries. A number of Malaysian companies are present in India, such as Petronas, Khazanah, UEM, Axiata, IJM, Parkway Pantai Hospitals, and others. Our strength lies in areas like infrastructure, airport management, healthcare, petroleum products, to name a few. At the same time, Indian companies also make their presence felt in Malaysia. Well-known companies like TCS, Tech Mahindra, Wipro, Alana, Biocon, ICICI Bank, Ircon, Infosys are just examples of many Indian companies which have chosen Malaysia as an investment destination. Now, if we look at the opportunities that lie ahead in terms of investment, Malaysia being centrally located in the ASEAN region with good connectivity can be an ideal distribution center for Indian companies intending to penetrate the wider ASEAN market. Malaysia also offers excellent infrastructure with educated workforce that would be ideal for Indian companies wishing to expand their business by taking advantage of Malaysia's participation in the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP, which was signed very recently in Vietnam. RCEP, which is a free trade agreement involving 15 countries, makes up around 30% of world's population and 30% of global GDP. So by saying this, Indian companies stand a good chance to take advantage of this by setting up business, setting up business and have a base in Malaysia and leverage on the market access lie ahead within the RCEP or RCEP market. Now, since our focus is on the trade and investment, I just touch briefly about the other corporations. First and foremost, first of all, let me talk briefly about education. A total of 3,129 Indian students are now pursuing their studies at the Malaysian higher education institutions. Meanwhile, there are 1,153 Malaysian students are currently studying at Indian higher education institutions. We had signed MOU on cooperation in the field of higher education in 2010, and recently in 2017, we had signed MOU on mutual recognition of educational qualifications between the Association of Indian Universities and the Malaysian Qualifications Agency in 2017. This MOU outlines the recognition of qualification provided that they are awarded in accordance with the national policy and laws of both countries. I certainly agree with the views of the dignitaries just now, talking about the opportunities lie ahead in this sector. We certainly can do more in terms of having collaboration, for example, like having joint collaborative activities on education and scientific research, curriculum development, and exchange of students and staff. I also like to, that is about education, I would like to also touch about the cooperation on IT or digital technology. Of course, India is very strong in this sector. So Malaysia is, of course, recognizing the strength of India in this sector. So we are very much interested to learn from India's experience, including on the government electronic marketplace or GEM, to enable Indian SMEs to sell its products to the government in the most effective way. There are certainly opportunity for us to learn about the latest technology on digital pursued by both countries. Now, talking about tourism, India is among top 10 sources of tourist arrivals to Malaysia. In 2019, there were 735,309 Indian tourists visited Malaysia, an increase of around 22% compared to the previous year. Of course, if you talk about this year, the data doesn't show a good figures for both countries, of course, because of the lockdown and everything. There are certainly opportunities for both countries to do something about this. I mean, once this pandemic is over, one of them is by having joint efforts to develop programs that would highlight interesting places in both countries. We have also cooperation on defense. Talking about defense cooperation, we have Malaysia-India or MIDCOM, M-I-D-C-O-M, since 1993, which facilitated defense staff talks, high-level military exchanges, and enhancement of cooperation between the Air Force and Navy of the two countries. The recent meeting of MIDCOM in 2018 cooperation. So I think I have spent quite some time. So in my concluding remarks, I would like to take this opportunity to urge both sides to leverage on the deep-rooted people-to-people contacts and strong links between the two countries to achieve our objective of expanding our bilateral relations and cooperations in various areas, in the areas that I mentioned just now, as well as in the other areas which I don't have the time to delve in detail. There are certainly more scope and opportunities for enhanced cooperation. So let's work towards that. Me, I'm from the representative in this Western India, would of course be happy to listen to any suggestion from your side, and on the ways and means that we can achieve in the near future, or even in our long-term prospect. Thank you very much again for inviting me. So I will pass the floor again to the moderator. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We have specific for that very enlightening talk and giving us an overview of the business as it is with Malaysia and what needs to be done. There are a couple of questions that we have received and we want to ask. So could you please clarify on those? Hello.
Sure, yeah. Go ahead.
The first question is that, sir, how can India foster greater business ties with ASEAN countries? Since Malaysia is a very important member of the ASEAN Forum, how we can foster, because this is a powerhouse, it's an economic powerhouse, and how India can use its policies to foster greater ties with this very big and very, very influential association, ASEAN.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, I'm glad that you asked this question, and in fact, it is also in line with PM Modi's Act East policy, that is to strengthen ties with the Southeast Asian countries. Well, I can say for sure that the platform is already there. Actually, it's up to the business community to take advantage of it. You see, we already have this ASEAN-India FTA, Federal Trade Agreement, that we can leverage on. Like I said, the companies can use Malaysia, for example, as a base in order to penetrate the ASEAN market, in order to expand their business, not only within the country, but of course within the whole ASEAN region. So now it is actually up to us. I mean, the platform is already there, and of course I'm here to assist and to facilitate the business community. What we can do now is to urge the business community to act on this. Of course, me being the representative of the government, we had seminars with the business of chambers in Mumbai as well as in other countries to facilitate them, to inform them about these opportunities that lie ahead. Yeah. So the platform is there. It's up to the business community to take those opportunities. Yeah. Of course.
Thank you, sir.
Of course, by having federal trade, FTA, free trade agreement, it can benefit the companies through this duty reduction, the tariff reduction, and whatnot, based on the various products which have been listed by both countries as free list and even as the normal list, which we can, or the business community can take advantage of.
Thank you very much, sir. A second question is, there have been, of late, there have been some teething problems between Malaysia and India. And we are very certain that we'll overcome them because of the close ties that we have with your country. So what do you think are those challenges and how, we can overcome them?
You see, I believe in working closely. I believe in. I'm sharing our policy on this, our national policy on this, being friendly countries to all the countries, and talking about trade and investment as one of our focus area. Let's put that thing aside, okay? I can, of course, there's. Let's put that aside. I mean, that is not for us to get involved with. I believe so. Let's focus on the objective, on our common objective to enhance the economic ties, and let that, I mean, I'm sure when we talk to business community, what is important for them is the economic ties that they can have, and the opportunities that they can gain. And after all, this is the main thing, the main factor of the relation between the two countries. So let's focus on whatever common objective that we have, and not other countries which might distract our focus on achieving our objective.
There is a question on, you mentioned about tourism, sir. So there is a question on how can we enhance, already there is a large contingent of Indians visiting Malaysia and vice versa. Malaysia has been the most favorite destination for most of the Indian community. So how we can foster, business and tie-ups to enhance the tourism sector?
Well, of course, tourism is very important industry for us. I believe India is also very much growing in this industry, this particular industry of tourism. We have Malaysian Tourism Board, we have Malaysian Ministry of Tourism, which is very much into collaborating with other countries in terms of having joint programs which can benefit both countries in this industry, in this tourism industry. And of course, we are very much alert about the potential of India being the interesting place or interesting country to be visited. And of course, we can leverage on this expertise. Malaysia, as you know, is one of the main countries in ASEAN region, as well as, if not in the world, to be visited by visitors all over the world. So we can learn from each other from this. I'm sure India has a lot of interesting places, has a lot of unique culture. So which in a way we share some similarity. We share some similarity that we can work upon. Having the same similarities make it easier for two countries to find a common ground to work together. Of course, I'm being the representative of the government here. I look forward if there is any suggestion from any parties in Mumbai, particularly, as well as in the Western India under my coverage, for us to work together on this. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. What do you think is the road ahead for both the countries to enhance? Because this pandemic has thrown a lot of challenges and business paradigms are being redefined. So what do you think is the road ahead for these two emerging economics to forge greater trade alliances between the two nations?
This pandemic situation is it's affecting all the countries, including Malaysia, India as well, of course. And it is not particularly limited to certain regions. It's all over the world. It has been it's global pandemic, right? So, and having said that, I believe that that is just temporary. And we are now, of course, same like India, Malaysian government has come up with various schemes and stimulus program to revitalize the economy. So with all these steps taken care by the government of both countries, we should again, first of all, increase or rather revitalize the contacts between the business community. Now, of course, it will be difficult due to the movement control order, lockdown, due to the closure of our international borders. But things certainly will be better, and I hope as soon as early next year, with the emergence of the vaccines, this can take place. This can take place, and having close contacts between business community that certainly help. Having closer collaboration between the Chamber of Commerce, for example, is going to certainly help. One thing that we can make sure is that it's the national policy of both countries towards having closer economic ties. That is really helpful. I mean, you can have a temporary problem like this, but as long as the government itself having the well-defined pro-business policy, that I think is assuring enough for both countries to move forward this particular sector, the trade and investment. Like I said, I would like to draw your attention for, on the opportunities that lie ahead, talking about the trade and investment opportunities. Like I said, of course, India is not part of the RCEP, which is, it's of course we are still, as a country, we hope one day India can look again on this policy. But nevertheless, let's not. There is, of course, totally the what do you call it? It's totally the decision of the Indian government. But what I'm trying to say is that looking at the current scenario, the Indian companies can take advantage of us being the member country of RCEP. Yeah? Having, for example, Indian companies can set up companies in Malaysia, source the items, AI or API, active ingredient, or in pharmaceutical API from other countries which are the members of RCEP, and gain advantage from this, and expand the business to gain the market access of around 30% of the global population. So Malaysia always welcomes the investment from Indian companies, always welcomes the enhanced trade ties between the two countries, because we believe that no single country can prosper. We always believe in shared prosperity. That is our common policy that we share, that we are always looking for closer collaboration, especially in economy, with all the countries, especially India, being one of our main trading partners. So there is certainly scope for us, for the business community from the two sides, to further enhance this. Certainly there is taking advantage of each country's strength and develop from this. Yeah. And I'm here, like I mentioned to you, the government, Malaysian government would welcome any kind of collaboration, as long as that would be beneficial for both countries. We always welcome that, we always recognize India being one of our main trading partners. So in this regard, yes, there are certainly large scope for us to enhance further the cooperation in economic field.
Thank you, sir, for stressing on shared participation. Indeed, the world is a global family. Sir, there is a question from one of the student, and he has asked, how can students join higher education in management in some reputed universities in Malaysia?
Sorry, can you repeat? How
Yeah,
the students can participate?
How can students join higher reputed universities in Malaysia?
How can the students join the higher education?
Am I clear, sir?
No, because
students want to know.
Was breaking down just now. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Students want to know which universities in Malaysia are offering MBA courses, and what is the procedure for getting admission over there?
Okay, there are many reputable Malaysian higher education institutions. For example, the University of Malaya is our oldest university and is also the top 10 university in Asia, actually, based on the recent ranking. And also, if I'm not mistaken, the second is the second best university within ASEAN. And not only University Malaya, we have University of Putra Malaysia, University of Science Malaysia, University of National University of Malaysia, University of Technology Malaysia, which offers some good MBA courses. Well, currently, sadly to say that due to this pandemic, there has been issue in terms of entrance of students from countries mostly affected by this COVID-19. But of course, like I said, this is temporary issue for us. Coming to next year, we hope that situation would ease up, and of course, the application can be made easily from our higher education institutions, from the university itself. We can easily browse the respective universities' website, and we always welcome the students from India. And like I said, India is also a main source of our students. So we can collaborate more on this. I, for example, I went to this one university in Karnataka, in Belgaum, quite recently, and monitor the students there. We have quite a big number of students in that university, and this is an example of the collaboration that the two countries can have on education. Yeah, talking about again to answer your question, talking about the how the students can enroll, it is very easy. It's as simple as going to the website, the respective university website, and look at all the admission requirements, and certainly they can be upon having. Of course, I don't have the details in terms of what are the specific requirements, but I'm pretty sure that if you come from the you have, for example, if MBA, if you have the basic degree from the education institution which have been recognized by the government of India, of course, I think that is good enough for the entrance of the universities. I cannot tell you the specific requirements, but But what I can tell is that in general that, we always welcome Indian students to come to Malaysia and pursue their study there.
Thank you, sir. This is a different question, not related to trade and commerce. It says that Malaysia has a praiseworthy record in football. India is also promoting the game of football. So can we expect some cooperation, because sports is also becoming an industry? And can we see some kind of a association that will lead to, enhancing this particular sector? And, just like cricket, it also can fetch a lot of revenue and can have a different business model of its own. So do you feel that there can be a chance of any such cooperation between the two nations?
Very interesting question. This is the first question that I have ever received regarding the sport collaboration. Of course, football is actually big in Malaysia. It's very big. Even though I cannot stress enough on our achievement at the global level, but having said that, it has a strong followers, and like the Indian League, which is also growing much popularity nowadays. The popularity of our Malaysian League is already huge there. So of course I can see collaboration there, collaboration between the two leagues, for example. To have, since this is actually industry which can benefit economically to both countries as well, I certainly can see that both countries can move forward in terms of collaborating between the two countries. For example, having the joint collaboration efforts between the two national league association, look at the aspect of how we can learn from each other in terms of making the sports more popular. In Malaysia, like I said, it's already popular. In India, is also gaining much popularity. So we have the similar scenario there that we can work on. Certainly, if there is any valid suggestion about that, I would love to bring this to the attention of the Malaysian side on any potential collaboration between the two countries.
Thank you, sir. So that is all in the Q&A session. And let me take this opportunity for presenting the vote of thanks. So thank you, Mr. Zainal, for your insight on bilateral trade between our two nations. Bharati Vidyapeeth, which is a multi-locational, multidisciplinary university and one of the fastest growing educational entities in India, is hosting a lot of these programs, online programs, on different topics benefiting the students, the entrepreneurs, the professional managers, and the society at large. Recently, as Madam Director mentioned, we have signed a MOU with Uzbekistan University, and with your good offices, we would certainly like to enter into such kind of a MOU with a Malaysian university. So we invite you our institute to take things further, sir. And it will be a privilege to have you on the campus as and when the things get normal. Sir, just a summary of what you spoke, and you gave us a very lucid and a clear picture of what lies ahead and what are the challenges in front of us. And as I understand, there is enough scope between India and Malaysia, two very ancient nations, emerging economics, to forge ties for the benefit of two populations which are like-minded. We are all from the Asian stock, and we are one big family. So you stressed on the culture of Malaysia and the vast population of Indian origin who are making important contributions in the field of education, business. And also, I think they'll be involved in other facets of the Malaysian society. You also stressed, and it is very important, that Malaysia has always been very liberal and open. And just because of this character, it has emerged into a great economy. And previously, all of us know it was the tiger economy of the world. And it was one of the fastest growing economies in the world. You also mentioned about the stimulus package for reviving your economy. We are doing the same under our Prime Minister's direction, and we have a huge challenge. And you also have a huge challenge of reviving the economy post COVID-19. And countries, like-minded countries can cooperate, and we can go on the path of recovering our economics. You also gave an overview of Indian-Malaysia trade, and you said that we have achieved 15 billion, which was set for 2020, has been achieved 2 years before. So this speaks about the growth of the ties, the business ties between our two countries, and the sky, of course, will be the limit. You also mentioned about products imported from Malaysia and India, potential sectors like oil and gas, furniture, rubber, aviation, and you mentioned about tourism also. And lastly, you mentioned about the IT companies, which are making a mark in fostering Malaysian economy. And you also said that you see a large scope for forging ties in the educational sector. Because as we mentioned, and also Director Ma'am mentioned, that as a business educational institute, as a business school, we would be very, very willing to have this ties and student exchange, faculty exchange, and also research. And a lot of this can happen if there is a collaboration. So please help us in this regard, sir. We are also working with forging ties with other universities around. So this healthy exchange will be very productive in fostering knowledge and people to people connect. And lastly, you mentioned about defense cooperation, which is also very vital. And with that, you ended up on a very positive note, saying that there is a lot of scope. And we believe that in the coming years, post-COVID-19, we will surge forward and we'll strengthen our ties between Malaysia and India. So thank you for all that deliberation, sir. And on behalf of BVMSR, I thank the participants, the faculty members, the entrepreneurs, the managers who have attended this particular program. And I place on record our thanks to our regional director, Dr. Vilas Rao Kadam, who has been a source of inspiration. And I thank Dr. Anjali Kalse for her guidance and support, and all the faculty members for helping us, in various matters. And lastly, I thank our non-teaching staff who has rendered the operational services so that we can conduct this program very smoothly. And once again, on behalf of Bharati Vidyapeeth family, IMSR, and India as a whole, I thank Mr. Zainal Azlan for his very thought-provoking deliberations, and hope, sir, that you would visit our institute soon.
Yes,
and we will take things forward. So
thank you.
From my team, it's a big thank you to all of you. Participants, we have posted the link for the feedback, so do fill it so that we can dispatch the certificates within a couple of days. And if you have any queries, please get in touch with us on the WhatsApp group. And thank you for your cooperation. We would be hosting a lot of this international webinars on different topics. So we are sure that you will render us the same cooperation with your participation in the future. So from BVMSR, once again, a big thank you to our esteemed guest from Malaysia and to all. Thank you very much. Bye and keep safe.
Yeah. Before leaving, I would request all the participants to please put your camera on so that we can have a common photo session. Please, everyone. Please keep your camera on. Yes, everyone. If possible, please keep your camera on so that we can have a photo session. Just one more minute. Yeah. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, take the permission to leave.